And as promised, here he is, entering season number 8 as the general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He is Dave Caldwell. David, welcome back. How are you, pal?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing great. And yourself?
I'm doing great. I learned something about you today. Doing a little research, you went to the same school as Don Shula, John Carroll, and also John Carroll is like a hotbed of NFL figures. How in the hell did it happen that so many people connected to the NFL ended up at John Carroll?
Well, I think you have to start with Don Shula. And, it's a sad day for all of us Blue Streak alumni, which you probably didn't know that was John Carroll's name, right? John Carroll Blue Streaks. Did you know that?
Did not know
that. All right. Well, Coach Shula obviously was the first, and he's a legend at John Carroll, obviously a legend in the NFL. And it's sad to learn of his passing today, and had a lot to do with myself and probably a lot of the NFL alumni that went to John Carroll about going there.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Caserio, Josh McDaniels, London Fletcher, Brian and Chris Polians, the sons of Bill Polian, Tom Telesco, Greg Roman. It is amazing to me when you consider it's a small school like that, and it just kind of happened. Did that attract you there, or did you not realize at the time you went there that there was going to be this NFL factory coming out of the blue streets?
Well, at the time, we didn't know about that. The Don Shula effect definitely did. And obviously, being a Division III athlete, there wasn't a lot of options. And, John Carroll had a great education, but also had the Don Shula name back when I was going to college. And they obviously used it as a recruiting tool. And the interesting thing about all of our paths at the NFL is I felt like they all kind of came in different venues.
And other trivia for those out there looking to know more about John Carroll University. Tim Russert went there, as did Eric Carmen. Do you know Eric Carmen's claim to fame?
I do not.
That you are letting down the blue streaks. Eric Carmen, who sang Hungry Eyes from the Dirty Dancing soundtrack, one-hit wonder. Eric Carmen went to John Carroll. So now you know. I knew more about John Carroll than you did, Dave.
Well, a little known fact, I grew up right down the street from Tim Russert in Buffalo, New York.
I assume you were a Bills fan growing up, like he obviously was. He was the number one Bills fan of all time.
Yep, absolutely. And Bills fans they're passionate just like he was.
How hard was it for you once you got into the business to reconcile the passion that drew you to football, growing up a Bills fan, and when you're a true fan of a team, you love that team and you hate every other team? There isn't a hierarchy of, well, here's my number one team, here's my number two team, here's no, it's the Bills and everybody else can go to hell. Once you get into the business, isn't it weird to have to put that down and set that aside and kind of wall that off and forget about it, and your loyalty is only to whichever team is employing you at that time?
Yeah, it was challenging at first, and especially growing up in Buffalo, where there is not, Buffalo is not a hotbed for college football like down here in Florida or Atlanta where I lived, and the allegiance to your college or your SEC teams in the South is very great, even sometimes greater than your NFL teams. And in Buffalo, the Bills were a one-man show besides the Sabres and the Bills, and that's what we lived for. And growing up, and I remember where I was during all 4 of the Super Bowl losses growing up, and then going to college in Cleveland. And it was a challenge, but let it be known that whenever we play the Bills, I still get a lot of texts and emails and from some friends and relatives that are still in Buffalo that they don't care that I work for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are still loyal Bills fans.
What kind of text messages did you get after beating the Bills in the playoffs a few years ago then?
Well, that was an interesting one. That was probably more challenging for my family than anything else. And I told my wife, I said, you have the no social media policy for the week leading up to that game and the week after that game. And, I think she learned the hard way that the loyalty may be a little bit bigger for the Bills fans than it is for family.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Of all teams, the Bills would be the hardest ones to segregate and separate that. When you think about the 4 Super Bowl losses, I assume the first one is the one that stands out the most because it was so close. Is that the one as a Bills fan that you think to that just like still has that gaping wound?
Yeah, I think the first one, obviously, that the game was so close, and And for the first time of being in the Super Bowl and being there and then having the game being, what was a 47-yard field goal wide right. And I think that was probably the most disappointing one. And then they were all disappointing, but shouldn't take away from what those teams accomplished. And that was an incredible feat.
It really is amazing. And I think as time has gone by, there's been a greater appreciation of getting to the Super Bowl, suffering the ultimate disappointment, going back to 0-0, doing it again, getting back to the Super Bowl, losing, going back to 0-0, lather, rinse, repeat. You know, there was a time where I think that like the team that lost the Super Bowl was regarded just as a loser, like get away. And I think that it's different now. I really do think that the team that doesn't win the Super Bowl isn't remembered in that derisive sense that it used to be. Have you sensed a change in that regard, that it's not as big of a negative to have lost the Super Bowl, that people appreciate how positive it is and how hard it is to just get there?
Well, I think that's the point, is how hard it is just to get there. Obviously, the challenging part is once you're there, you realize how hard it is to get there. It makes the loss even that much more discouraging, because you know that it's how hard it was to get there and to get so close and to lose a game. But obviously, the objective is to win it, and that's everyone that goes to work in the NFL on a daily basis. That's what we strive for.
When you know how hard it is to get to the brink of it, to have it right there and to have it not work, and then how that can contribute to everything being thrown off kilter. 10 point, I mean, you don't need to be reminded of this. 10-point lead in the fourth quarter should have been a 17-point lead if the officials didn't have their heads up their butts and realized what Myles Jack had accomplished, ripping the ball out from Dion Lewis, recovering it, getting up and running for a touchdown. They blew that. At least you got possession of the ball. You should have had the touchdown. But I think it shows, and you're not the only team that's gone through this. I think when you get that close, sometimes it is hard to go back to 0-0 and remember what you did, every box you had to check to get there. There's like a temptation to fast forward back to the postseason and do it again, and it's not nearly that easy.
No, it's not. And I think guys forget, and players forget, coaches. I remember that training camp that we had in 2017, and that was a brutal training camp. And Coach Marone did a heck of a job getting the team ready, and nobody expected us to even have a winning season, let alone get to where we got to that year. And it's amazing what a team can accomplish when they play together as a team. And when you have all 11 guys on one side of the ball competing and doing their job collectively, far outweighs on any one person or talent on any team.
In a weird sort of way, the ingredients are there to get back to that kind of mindset this year, because I've already seen the post-draft power rankings that have the Jaguars at number 32. And yes, it pisses you off when you see that, but that can become one of the ingredients that is used to get the guys to rally around each other, to do everything they have to do, to buckle down and take it one brick at a time before you end up standing in front of a wall.
Were those your power rankings?
I haven't done them yet.
All right.
We haven't done them yet. I do them. I have yet to do them. I'll do them later. I'll get back to you when I have the Jaguars at least at 30. But here's the thing. Somebody's got to be there. Somebody's got to be at the bottom. They can't all be tied at 15 or 16. But I've already seen somebody else's that had the Jaguars at 32. But my point is, I think that, and I've seen teams do this, where it does become that rallying cry. And it is a way to get people to forget about anything but the task at hand. And if you can get the guys pissed off and lathered up, it's good. It's positive. It's one of the ingredients in turning a team around.
No, I think you're right. And right now it's just noise. I mean, it is. Everybody's got an opinion. And I feel like, and our team feels like, what we've done in the offseason, we may have gotten rid of some known commodities, but every move that we made was to put a better product on the field this year. And we feel like we've done that. We've created depth at every position, created competition at all positions, and have a good core of young players that are coming back that really produced last year as rookies and second-year guys like DJ Chark, Josh Allen, Jawan Taylor had great rookie years, Gardner Minshew. You can make a case he was arguably the best rookie quarterback last year in many areas of the game, wins being number one, and a good young offensive line. So we feel like there's some pieces in place here to really go into the season and put our best foot forward and have a good winning season.
And hang on a second. Are you going to suggest to me that wins are a quarterback stat? Is that what you're saying?
Well, everyone seems to point to that, but it does happen to be one of them.
You'll get your fine letter in the mail. Say, Matt Casey, the coordinating producer of PFT Live, will find anyone who describes a quarterback as a winner. But he did have success when he was playing. I'll give you that. Some would say Kyler Murray had a better performance overall, given the statistics that actually, determine quarterback play. But Minshew was, I think, special last year, and he resonated with the fan base. We talked to him about that at the Super Bowl. Why is there this nagging sense that the Jaguars organization has a wandering eye and is looking for an upgrade over Minshew? Because there is a palpable sense out there that you're willing to explore somebody who maybe would give you a better chance to win than Minshew if that person is available.
Sure. Well, I think probably because he was a little bit of an unknown commodity. He was a 6th-round pick. He didn't have the name recognition of being a first-round pick, or maybe the team didn't invest into him like other first-round picks that could get the benefit of the doubt. But he was rookie of the week 7 times last year. So I think that was the most out of any rookie, and definitely the most out of any rookie quarterback. So, but wasn't even on the rookie of the year ballot, which was interesting. But so I think that's how he got here, and I think the way people maybe perceive him because he was a 6th-round pick is probably why they think we have a wandering eye. With that being said, we're always about competition and getting the best people here. So we do need depth at that position and bringing in other guys.
Yeah, Coach Marone recently said that the team will consider the possibility of bringing in veteran quarterbacks. There aren't many out there. Would you be looking for somebody to come in and be the backup to Gardner Minshew, or is this somebody to come in, push him, challenge him, and, hey, if he ends up being a better option than Minshew, so be it?
Yeah, I think you always want somebody there to push him, challenge him, and also for security and to be able to sleep at night, because as we know, as we learned last year, you're 11 or 12 plays away from losing your starting quarterback for a large portion of the time. So last year we went into the season and Nick Foles got injured. 11 plays in the first game of the season, and that's where kind of the Minshew mania kind of took off from there. And so you always want to have some type of depth at that position and somebody to come in and push your starter. Gardner does not need anybody to push him. He is incredibly he's got incredible desire to compete at the highest level, and I think his teammates see that and they feed off that.
What would you say to the people who would ask the question of why you moved Nick Foles? You didn't have to. He's a great teammate. He's a great backup. He'll come in and do what's asked of him if and when it's asked of him. Until that happens, he won't cause any issues, won't cause any problems, will support the starter every way he can. He was a model citizen in Philadelphia and obviously a Super Bowl MVP. At the end of the day, why did you decide to move on from him as the veteran backup or potential starter in Jacksonville?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think with Nick's situation is we weren't looking to move him. We were looking to keep him. And then there was a handful of teams that had interest in him. And we just felt like if there was value and if we were going to start and we thought enough of Gardner to name him the starter, or at least compete with Nick to be a starter, that if we can get a good value draft pick, which we did out of Chicago, and get out from underneath the contract, we just felt like it was the best thing to do for the team.
Okay. I've gotten many questions from people as to how to best characterize the Jaguars right now. I've heard terms like rebuilding, reloading, retooling, tanking, right? What's the right word of those that I just mentioned to describe where the Jaguars currently are and what the objective currently is?
Well, I saw something you wrote the other day that where you said that it's not they're not mutually exclusive, where it's kind of we can still build this thing and compete at a high level and let the chips fall where they may. And I think what we did was we cleaned up the salary cap. We're in a great working situation with the salary cap, not only this year but next year. And also felt like that we've gotten better from the 6-10 team that we had last year, or the 5-11 team. Although there were a lot of household names that people recognize nationally, the product on the field wasn't where it needed to be. So I would say competing. And building for something that can compete this year.
You got the second defensive back off the board in this year's draft with C.J. Henderson at number 9. Tell me what attracted you to him in that spot.
Well, his rare athleticism and his speed and his length, he's a perfect fit for our scheme. He's got excellent ball skills, and he competes at a high level against some of the best receivers in the college football.
And then at number 20, another first-round pick for the Jaguars, the one that came as part of the Jalen Ramsey trade, K'Lavon Chaisson, one of my favorite prospects this year. I was stunned he was still there at number 20. How surprised were you that he made it through 19 picks and was still available to be taken by you in that spot?
We were surprised, and he was one of my favorite throughout the whole season. And I remember watching him in early October and asking our scouts about him, and they're like, well, he's a redshirt sophomore. He's not going to come out. I'm like, this guy's coming out, and he's going to be a top 10 pick. And sure enough, he did come out. He wasn't a top 10 pick, was close, though. And at the end of the day, he's a guy that everything that we want. He's high character, tough, competitive, ultimate team guy, can play to run and rush the passer. And we feel like that he has a tremendous developmental upside.
You know, we were at the scouting combine, and because of the changes to the schedule this year, we had the opportunity to talk to between 25 and 30 of the prospects. He's the one that stood out to me. He's got a charisma that exudes confidence, but it's not in a brash, abrasive way. It's just very matter of fact. This is who I am. This is what I'm going to do. And to me, look, that it may not become the core of a leadership component right away, but that's the kind of guy that I think you want at the heart of your locker room, getting other guys to think the same way and act the same way.
Absolutely. And we have a guy like that in Josh Allen right now that we took last year with the 7th pick in the draft. And to have those two guys on the opposite edges of each other, and feel like that's going to be a really good core for us moving forward.
You know, it was announced today there won't be any international games in 2020. That means 2 home games you were going to play in London will now be played in Jacksonville. I know that that's something the organization wanted to do, but from your perspective, trying to win football games, trying to have continuity, it's got to be easier to not have to go over to London and stay there for more than a week to play back-to-back games.
Obviously, we like to play in front of our fans here in Jacksonville and have the home field advantage. We really appreciate our fans in London, and actually the game the last 7 years has really been a good thing for not only the city of Jacksonville, but also for our team. And to be able to go over there for a week a year and have our team bond and grow together has been a good thing. We've had success on the field over there. We'll miss our fans over there, but we're eagerly and overly excited to be able to have 2 home games here in front of our home fans, and we know they'll show up.
How close did you come to finding a trade partner for Leonard Fournette?
To be honest with you, there was just some minor discussions about that, but nothing substantial throughout the draft or even prior to the draft.
Is he still available, or is the mindset at this point we go forward with Leonard on the team?
I think the mindset is that we're going to go forward with Leonard on the team. I had a good conversation with him on Friday. I know Coach Marone's had some discussions with him. He seems to be in great shape and great mental frame of mind, and we feel like that he'll have a great season this year.
Coach Marone spoke with Mike Tirico a couple of weeks ago and talked about the reality that Leonard's comments about getting Cam Newton on the team, that's something that Leonard and Gardner are going to have to work out among themselves. When you have a team that's not going to be getting together until who knows when, is it important to get that worked out? Has it been worked out? Have they had, to your knowledge, a conversation where they're on the same page moving forward?
I'm sure they'll be on the same page. Both are professional guys, and I'm sure a lot of it probably was taken out of context from my understanding. Gardner's a tremendous leader, and I think Leonard will do his best and put in his best foot forward. So not to my knowledge, I don't know what's been taking place, but I'm sure it won't be an issue.
Dave, I love you, but I can't let you get away with taking out of context. The guy came out and said he wants Cam Newton on the team.
Well, I'm sure he'd probably like a lot of people on the team, but
it's not fantasy football.
Yeah, sure.
I look at your quarterback depth chart, and we talked earlier about the guys who are available, and I never know where the line is for tampering. Andy Dalton's now under contract with the Cowboys. Can you comment whether or not on whether you tried to get him?
We did have some discussions with his agent and with him, and I guess I'll leave it at that.
Well, I'll leave it at this. I got to let you get back to your day. I got to wish you a happy anniversary, 18 years of wedded bliss. And I appreciate you giving us so much of your time on a day when your wife would otherwise expect to see you. But I would guess that given the amount of time you've been home for the past 7 weeks, your wife is fine with a break from time to time of having to deal with you. I've been working at home for 11 years, and my wife loves it when I get out of her hair for a little bit.
She is, and she gives me the subtle question. So when are the NFLs going to open up their offices again? So I get that question periodically.
Well, hey, congratulations on all you've done in Jacksonville. We're rooting for you to get it turned around this year. You got some great young players. It's going to be fun to see how it all falls together. Dave, thanks as always for some of your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Mike. Have a great week.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.